actually. And you can see where the glue is actually starting to dry, and that's from the activator that I sprayed just to set that in. And so it's starting to dry from the center out, which is good. So we're just gonna lightly put activator over it because we don't want it to, if we put too much on it with that much glue there, it will like bubble. That's not what we want. You can see it starting to skin over.
You know the chef that does like the salt or whatever? That's what you just look like?
Yeah, that's what I was doing. I was adding the DBs right there.
Oh, okay.
That's what that is. So you go. But see, now you can see the difference in it. It doesn't have that sheen to it. It kind of looks a little flat. It's not all glossy, I guess you'd say. So the top layer there is dry. So now, what we can do is we're gonna kind of tilt it up, and we'll glue the bottom layer, and then we'll put a dust cap on. This is the same kind of thought process as the top. I'm trying to get this piece of rope just saturated with glue. And I don't want to hit it with accelerator because I don't want it to, if you put too much accelerator on it, you actually can make the joint weaker. There. Just running up the side of the cone right here. I'll wipe that away. Acetone will eat away at CA glue if it's not dry, so if it's wet, it will clean it up. So since that's soaked in pretty good, we'll just go ahead and spray it with accelerator just to kind of keep it from running all over the place on us. Pretty good. Put a little bit more glue on it. Right there, I think, and then right there. Just 2 more spots.
Moving on?
I believe so. I'll check it all out. Make sure I'm happy with it. to the next step if everything looks good. So like I said, the idea is to get that rope saturated all the way around with CA glue. So it makes a good tight, firm joint for that cone to attach to. So that looks good to me. Yeah, it ain't going nowhere. Okay. So now at this point, we will glue dust cap on. So what we do here, this is no different than any other Recone procedure, but go ahead and pull all your shims out. Do not put your dust cap on with your shims in the motor.
Why not?
Because it will rub and sound horrible.
Can you put glitter in there?
No,
Well, that's dumb.
can't do that either. Alright. Looks good. Okay, so get our paper cap. Now we glue this on a carbon cone setup or even on a regular paper cone. Now this would be the next step, regardless if you're putting one of these cones right here on or not. So since the carbon cone doesn't have a step in the cone to where you know where the dust cap center got, that we
You
use here
should
and all
make
that.
it face like the one underneath is facing. Like find that one that's underneath the thing. You know what I'm talking about? Right there. I spot it.
Huh?
He's right there.
Oh, that one?
Yeah. So make it line up with that. Just because.
Okay. Oh, there you go.
There you go. You miss it.
Let's go a little bit. Right there.
That adds DB.
Okay.
Just letting you know.
Alright. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of spinning it and eyeballing it. Which, this.
What are you eyeballing?
Making sure the distance between here and here is the same all the way around.
Oh, dude.
So I'm just looking at it while it spins.
Reminds me of those teacup rides at the carnival.
Looks pretty good to me. So now I take our pencil and just kind of mark all the way around. And I'm doing this so we know where to put our glue at. Otherwise, when you take the phone up, you're not going to know where you need to put your glue joint at.
Can you see a pencil mark?
Uh-huh.
Anyone else see a pencil mark? I don't see.
Yeah.
Oh, I see it now.
If you look at it at
On
an
the
angle,
camera?
you got to kind of
Yeah,
get away
I
from
gotcha.
it and look at it.
Well, the light too was jacking with me, but I see it now.
So
Oh,
it
now I see it really good.
actually makes it easier if you take the light off of it. You can see it a lot better.
On the line and underneath it, huh?
Mm-hmm. Try to get underneath it because that's where the cap is going to sit.
Do you come up above it a little bit too, or
No.
just right under it?
Yep. And then whenever I put the cap on, then...
Asking for a friend.
Alright, so now you wanted this thing lined up with the little logo right there, so... It'll be right here. Now this cap's so big, I don't really need a piece of tape to drop this down on there. But you can do the little tape trick. You loop up a piece of tape and then use it as a handle. I usually do that with the smaller dust caps because you don't have really as much to hold. Okay.
Is that what this tape is for?
Yes.
You do use it?
So that's a 3-pound weight. It's solid steel. So that's going to hold that cap down really, really tight. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my glue and just add quite a bit more on this joint. Now the carbon won't really soak the glue up because it's carbon. It's pretty resilient. but that cap being paper will soak the glue up. So we just kind of let that sit and it'll level out.
Having conversations with me. Oh, we're spraying.
And now we're officially done with the CA glue. That's the last of that.
Yay! If you guys don't know, it smells horrible. In my opinion, I think Andrew's used to it though.
It's pretty rough. It can be, that's for sure. Alright, so now we'll put our gasket on here. So let's line up our holes.
I mean, you don't have to have a gasket, do you?
Technically no, but it does help seal the woofer to
I've seen
the
some
mounting hole.
without them. But I think it looks nicer with it. Kind of cleans it up.
Yeah. A lot of people, when they invert them, they don't use the gasket because it kind of doesn't make the sub sit right.
Mm-hmm.
But you can just flip the gasket over too and it'll make it sit correctly when you invert it.
Mm.
Alright, so that part's done. That's good. Alright. Okay, so now, normally that you want it centered too. It's all centered in one spot. Looks like right here. The carbon cones too don't really sit flat either, so you gotta kind of put some weight on them. Push them down. Looks pretty good. Pretty close to that other cap. Okay, so SOUNDQUBED does this part a little bit differently than me. I like to do an extra step here. So when they glue them, they just put the cap down and then put a bead on top, because at this point the carbon cap is more or less cosmetic, because this is providing all your pressure for any pressure that comes up through the pole vent. It's going to hold the pressure back, so it's not going to prevent the cap from blowing off. And since we're on a carbon cone, there's not any jeopardy of the cone tacoing or flexing or anything like that to where it would pop the carbon cone or the carbon dust cap off. So they just put a glue bead on top. I like to put one underneath and one on top, so it just secures it that much better. So this part here that I'm doing, like I said, is not 100% necessary, but it's just the way I do it. So feel free to substitute with your own method here, but do not glue this down with CA glue, because you want to be able to remove that carbon cap and reuse it if you have to recone again. And this glue is a tension glue, so it holds in one direction and the other direction it will release. And I'll actually put that video up in the description too. I show you how you can reuse these carbon caps, how you remove them after they've been glued down. It's really easy.
opened it. Yes.
So what I'm also trying to do too is somewhat line up the carbon honeycomb pieces, I guess, so to speak, with what's already there. If it doesn't line up, then it doesn't line up, but I can make it kind of, then try to, just so it looks more natural, I guess. Okay, so now we put our top bead on. And this bead doesn't have to be perfect right now. I'll show you a trick that you do to get it even all the way around. And you can do it without one of these Lazy Susans, but it will be pretty difficult. Okay, so I got it pretty even all the way around. But to make it even more even, and look even better, what you do is you take one of the popsicle sticks that come in the Recone kit. This is one of the reasons they're actually in here. Make sure you got a good round edge on one of the edges. And you basically put it right here in the center. And then just spin this thing fairly quick. And as you can see, what it's doing is it's making that bead perfectly even all the way around. And one of the lead production guys at Digital Design showed me that trick for doing carbon cones. 1 year at finals, actually. So it's a pretty nice little trick because that glue is self-leveling. So right once you pull the popsicle stick out, you've seen how it kind of rushed back in and then leveled out. So now once that dries, that will be clear. Then you won't even really see that. So that's it, man. Hope you guys liked the video. Let me know what you think about it. If you got any questions, feel free to comment below. I've reconed a lot of subs over the last couple years. I know quite a bit about reconing and assembling them and tearing them down and all that fun stuff. And now with the carbon cones too, since SOUNDQUBE's starting to offer these, I'm sure there's people that have questions about how they install. So hope this video helped everybody out, and that's all I got for you guys. So see you later.